Today I'm going to show you how to make a simple fruitcake recipe, my own version of Kerala style fruitcake. Let's look at the ingredients. I have here 2 cups of all-purpose flour, a cup of granulated sugar that is powdered, about half a cup of caramel, 3/4 cup of pecans and walnuts chopped up, 4 room temperature eggs, a cup of room temperature softened butter, some allspices, ground allspices, caraway seeds, then I have pineapple and rose essence, a small nutmeg, vanilla essence, baking powder, salt, baking soda. Last but not least are fruits. So I have here 2 cups of raisins, a cup of cherry that have been soaking in a cup of grape juice for 2 days. First we need to make the caramel. For that I have put a heavy bottom pan upon the stove here, and I'm going to add 1/4 cup of granulated sugar. So let it wait until it bubbles, and then we need to add half a cup of boiled water. I'll show you when to add the boiled water. See, you see it start bubbling. You don't need to stir it, just whirl it around, and once everything starts to bubble like this, I'm going to add half a cup of hot water in here. Make sure to turn off the heat to low and move away from it because it can splash and you can get burned. I'm here. The color of the cake depends on this caramel also, like how dark it is. Now it's ready. I'm going to turn the heat to low and I'm going to add half a cup of water. I turned off the stove and I'm going to let it cool down, and we are going to get ready to make the batter. Now I'm going to mix the butter and the sugar first. I'm going to use my hand mixer, beat it on a medium speed. Make sure to mix the sugar and butter into a homogeneous mixture, and then we are going to add the eggs. We are going to add one at a time. Oops. 2 fell into it, that's okay. So now this is the beaten butter, sugar and the egg mixture. I'm going to get the flour ready now. I'm going to add 1.5 teaspoon of baking powder, and baking soda, 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. Half a teaspoon of salt. I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Then I have here this is 1/4 teaspoon of rose essence, quarter teaspoon of pineapple essence, then I'm going to add this caramel syrup that I made earlier. I'm going to add like 2 tablespoons. We can add a little bit later if we want more. I'm going to beat this together. I'm going to grate this nutmeg into the flour mixture. I love the smell of the nutmeg and I like freshly grated nutmeg. I only used half of the nutmeg. You just mix it well with this one, with the flour. And then from now on, we are not going to use a hand mixer. We are just going to use the spatula to mix everything together, okay? Here, I'm going to add my soaked fruits. Okay, I'm going to use the whole thing with the fruits one. Mix that first. Add in the nut mix. Now I'm going to sift the flours in maybe 3 portions, 3 batches. Mix it. Don't over mix, because if you over mix the batter, the cake will be thick like bread. You don't want that to happen. It will form gluten if you over mix the cake batter. So this is the consistency now. Make sure there is no dry patches of the flour, and I like it a little bit looser. I'm going to add 1/4 cup of grape juice to it. And don't add too much, because if the batter is too loose, the fruits will sink to the bottom of the pan when it is done. I added 1 teaspoon of allspices, and I'm going to add my caraway seeds. I would say almost like a tablespoon of caraway seeds. I love the smell of the caraway seeds in the cake. Now the batter is ready. I'm going to pour this into this lined cake tin. I have lined this cake tin with parchment paper. You butter it first and then cut 2 round pieces first, because you need to have 2, otherwise it might just burn the bottom of the cake. So make sure to line it with 2 round circles at the bottom, and then line the sides also with the parchment paper. Just make sure that it's slightly over the pan so that the cake won't get burned. Now it's almost ready for baking. Tap the tin for a couple of times to get the air out, and then put it in a preheated oven at 350 degrees for about 1.5 hours. I have preheated the oven. I'm going to put it for baking. Make sure to cover the top of this tin when it is about 50 minutes, so that you won't burn the top of the cake. Our cake is done now. It took 1 hour and 50 minutes to get the cake done. When I checked after 1.5 hours, it was still wet in the middle, so I put another 20 minutes. Now I'm going to let it cool down in the cake tin for another 15 minutes, and then we'll take it out. Once it is completely cooled down, I'll cut and show you how the inside looks. It is always better to cut the cake actually maybe after 1 or 2 days than the same day. Anyway, I will show you how it looks. This is our final cake. So I'm going to cut it and see how the inside looks. I usually don't cut it the same day, but I thought, I would just cut and see how. This is how the inside of the cake looks. See, the fruits have not sunk into the bottom of the cake. It's evenly distributed inside the cake. It is soft and moist also. Please do try this cake and let me know. It's very easy and simple. Thank you so much for all your support again. See you again with another video.